hello and welcome to another episode on our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube and Facebook. And at the moment I'm running through our personal testimony, it's quite coloured, with drinking and drugs and womanising and all that sort of things before I came to God. And we're just sharing these as part of our Tribulation Soldier COMS YouTube to kind of populate it all out, and obviously it's great for you guys to sort of see who we are and what we do. But as always guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit notifications. Always loads of videos coming, especially on our Birnie Family YouTube channel. Free YouTube channels for kids as well, so you've got kids that can check that out, and it'd be so great if you could support us. Last time we spoke about drugs, my thing with drugs, and then time before that, my even bigger problem with alcohol and all sorts. This one is quite the big one, this is the big one. And it's all about womanising, and I think many guys out there will really be able to relate to this. So guys, hope you enjoy. Quite a major one we're hitting on. Womanising is a big thing for a lot of people, and when I look at it, because I was always so unhappy as a kid and as a teenager, I was actually really screwed up as a teenager actually. But, when I'd grown up, I always had an eye for ladies, always had that. Yes, I think probably my first girlfriend was when I was about, maybe 9 years old, maybe 8, 9 years old. And of course, once you go into the, high school, you're surrounded with beautiful girls and, everything that goes along with that. And of course, basically that's what my mind was on most of the time, really, was just girls, girls, girls. It was really all there was about it. And quite naturally, if you've got that way about you, which I did, again, it was a depression bandage. I was quite unhappy as a person, and that's just the way that it was. So the first sexual relationship was probably when I was about 13 years old, I would have said, my first girlfriend sex relationship, And of course, once you go through that, you move on to the next and to the next and to the next. It's just the way that it is. And aside from the drink and a little bit of drugs and stuff like that, the womanising really gave me that lift, that I really felt I needed. And of course, like a lot of you out there, I'm sure, very similar story. You gradually go from high school to the clubs and the pubs. You start seeing women now. Ladies, older women, and of course, in there's just that great, huge variety. Absolute variety of women. And at the time, I loved every part of it. You girls all came in such different shapes and sizes, and the chase was really quite something for me. And I tended to get young women that were way out of my league. What you didn't really have in looks, you'd make up for in charm, lies and manipulation. That was the kind of way about it. Yeah, so 2 or 3 sort of longer term girlfriends, into months sort of thing. And of course lots and lots of, just relationships in between, one night stands, nights with, a young woman that I just can't even remember, Yeah, I just got to the stage I was just getting really sick of it, So after like the 3rd pregnancy scare, man, just remembering them, the goodness, like thinking your life's over, and thinking, oh my goodness, and then the relief afterwards, And I think after my 3rd one of them, I'd really just had enough, for that time anyway. And the same with the clubbing and the drinking, and I really felt like I wanted a real proper relationship. And of course, that's when I started seeing Sharon. And at that point, the sex relationships had really got to the stage where these women, I couldn't even remember their names. I can remember, one of them as the woman on the grass of the bowling green, or the 16th tee up at the golf club. But, that's what it was like. It was just getting so shallow and so bad, So when I met Sharon, it was a real breath of fresh air, and we thought we'd fallen in love really, really quickly, moved in together really, really quickly. And now, sex was a regular thing, obviously, you were in that kind of a relationship. But the funny thing was, that I was quite unfulfilled sexually when it came to Sharon, to begin with, just where my state of mind actually was at the time. And, I look back across all my escapades and the women that I've been with that I really shouldn't have been because they were just way out of my league. And I thought to myself, something, the sex part of it's okay. But what I really thrived on, I never realised this till later, was the chase. You weren't as average looking guy, you weren't really anything special. So you really had to turn the charm on, and get the old lies in, manipulate it all a bit. And I think the whole chase is going back through the stages that night. You know, it's just being able to chat them up, you know, spark something, get them in a taxi, get home, you know, or wherever else. It was normally wherever else actually. But that's the bit that I loved. And when it came to the sex, I mean, at the time, you know, I was pretty tired at the end of the night, drunk a lot, done a lot. It wasn't really that enjoyable, but the chase was. And of course, the later feeling was just a bit of regret, and then the following morning, coupled with the hangover, it's just feeling pretty dirty, really. But by the time I'd got to Shan, I'd been with quite a few, and again, it's a great big bravado thing, you know, as a teenager, as a young adult, you know, about the women you've been with, you know, the oldest you've been with, the prettiest, how many women, the same group of people could you sleep with, and you know, and that's what it was like for a very, very long time. Just really, really shallow stuff. And of course, because Sharon and me were broken people, you know, we're two broken people who'd come together, you know, as a couple, living together. We had that sexual relationship. And to be frank, it wasn't all that great, you know, for the most of the time. And I'm comparing it to the way that it is now. But again, you know, Sharon really just couldn't give me what I needed. You know, all that womanizing, all that desire to be with someone and to have someone, it was all based around a real lie. What I was missing in my life was God, you know. And one of the things that you learn, I'm 20 years married to Sharon now, and I can tell you now that if you want to talk about the sexual side of it, it's better now than it's ever been. And that is just the truth. And I can't even compare it to what it used to be like before, you know, with other girls. It's nothing like it. I was missing that fulfillment, you know, I was really missing that fulfillment. And even when Sharon and I moved in together, we were together for 4 years, living as basically a married couple, before we, you know, came to the Lord and moved forward. It wasn't that enjoyable, you know, I've said that already. And I just couldn't get from her what I needed. She couldn't get from me what I needed, what she needed. And when we got to coming before the Lord, coming to Him, you find that the Lord fulfills a part of you that you were needing. That whatever that was, that you just want to feel held or touched or understood, or whatever it was you got from another person, you got that from God. And then you started to figure out, and Sharon saw the same thing, was that I couldn't get from Sharon what I needed. No, not 100%. Only God could supply that. And Sharon feels exactly the same way. And in that's where you find that real health. So, I mean, we're talking like a real dramatic change, you know, and I'm just being open and honest, guys. You know, we've got a great relationship, you know, and things have never really been better. We've had our hard times. There's times we get snippy with each other and, you know, all that sort of thing. It's all part and parcel of being married. But I wouldn't trade this, not for the type of fulfillment now. You know, that womanizing could not. The comparisons are just, there's no real comparison. The womanizing, though, gave me that bandage, you know, and that's all it ever was. It was just putting on a bandage, taking it off, putting on a bandage, taking it off. It worked, you know, to a degree. It kind of worked, you know. It seemed to fulfill what I needed, you know, all these gorgeous young women, and oh me, you know, when I look back. But again, it wasn't when you really look at it in reality. And the plain truth is, and I have to be again totally open and honest, even the best of married couples, you know, you're not going to fully get what you need from that other person. Only God can fulfill that. And in many ways, the fill that He does is actually quite mysterious. You just have a satisfaction, you know, you don't have that great pool. And, you know, as a Christian, you know, obviously you get tempted. There are times you get tempted. Summertime and all the women are out with their bikinis on and stuff like that, you know. Of course I find women attractive. Of course Sharon finds men attractive, you know. It just is what it is, you know, that we're male and female. But the difference between then and now is that God kind of takes that power away. Way back then it would have been, I really want to go to bed with her. I don't care if she's married or she's got kids, couldn't care less, you know. That's what I want. Me want, that's all, you know. But now, you look at people in a different way. And although you might feel that attraction towards somebody, you know it and you can actually feel it. That power's gone. You're not lustfully grabbing towards that person, you know, that you really want to be with them. It's not like that at all. And then you actually come to a place where you can really appreciate women. But from the womanising point of view, even now, I'm talking 20 years down the line, I still know that Sharon cannot satisfy what I need 100%. She can fill a great part of that, of course. You know, God wants us to have a great marriage, and you go ups and downs, and go through this, go through that, have a relationship, and enjoy it, you know. But He never meant it to be a crutch. You know, it'll never happen, you know. And I've actually seen a lot of people come to God and just feel that they would be much happier if they had a partner, and that's what they're in it looking for, and they're hoping God will set them up. You know, God wants you, God wants a person to fall in love with Him first, before that happens, you know. And that's really what happened with myself and Sharon. God is the centre. And if you really want that relationship with another person, when you've got your feet straight with God, and He's got, you know, a good handle on you, you know, so that He can really show you the best way to do things, you'll find that person that will be perfect. So just in closing, you know, from this whole womanising thing, because when I was younger, you know, obviously very, very proud, you know, back then I was very, very proud. You know, all the different women that I'd been with and all the different things that I'd done. I still want to share that comparison with you to what I've got now. And we're not unique. Is that, you know, it's just worlds apart. I would never want that kind of life back. Womanising really is highly destructive, you know, very, very destructive. Especially if you took it to my level. But guys, honestly, when I'm sort of sitting here chatting, you know, I know that this testimony, this sort of sharing of my experiences, is not uncommon. It's absolutely not uncommon at all. There's so many people that can relate to that out there, you know. There's so many people can relate to not being able to make a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship work, you know. They do all that womanising, they do all that fantasising, and then when they get the girlfriend, they just can't get from them what they need. Or, you know, you are quite a lonely person and you find someone and you get married, and for all the wrong reasons, you know. God bowls over all that stuff. And when He's the centre of your life, then everything begins to revolve. It really begins to revolve around God. And it really, really does work. It's not just me. There's countless Christian couples that are the same. Don't get me wrong, just me in the Christian world. You know, some get divorced and, you know, various things like that. But I think for the majority, there's many people that live such a sweet marriage together, a friendship, a family. You know, again, ups and downs, you know, these things happen. I was in a breathing machine 3 or 4 years ago, you know. These things happen. But ultimately, whatever it may be, and like I said about depression, about drinking, drugs, womanising, the whole thing, just trying to cover the unhappiness, you're just trying to get a relief from that unhappiness. And you can get it from those things temporarily. But with God, it's something very, very different. I said in the previous one about drugs, you know, that some of the harder drugs, that, you know, it is great. It's absolutely great at the time, there's no question about it. But the come down's pretty bad. And even the days after that are terrible. And I made the comparison between that and a touch from God's Spirit. God's Spirit, the touch, is perfection itself. Absolute perfection. Just what you need at that time, on the level that you need it, and the depth that you need it at that point in time. You don't wake up the next morning feeling guilty and dirty and tired and have to go out and do the same thing again. It's still with you and you're like, wow. And it peters off as the days goes on. Of course it does, and maybe the days go on. You know, God can't just serve us ice cream for breakfast, lunch and dinner all the time. He just can't do that. But He does it when you need it. And it's greater than any drug, it's greater than any drink, and it's greater than any sexual experience you'll have. And I'm sure some of you said that you've got to be kidding, you're obviously not doing it right. I really thoroughly enjoy the sex life that I have, but I can assure you, absolutely assure you, that experiencing God, Him really coming into your life, Him really touching your heart, it's just way beyond. It's just something perfectly satisfying, absolutely perfect. Just what you needed at just the right time, you know. That's what He's like. God isn't up there just now looking down and judging people at all. He loves creation, He loves the people, you know. We'll get into that another day. But He loves the people. And He understands a lot of the things we do in life is because we're covering You know, we're just putting bandages and band-aids on wounds that we don't even know we have. But there are roots to these issues, and God brings them to the surface to get dealt with. I am not a good person. I'm not a good person. I don't deserve God's love any more than you watching me just now. And if He'll come into my life and do these things, He'll do exactly the same for anyone else. Absolutely guaranteed. So obviously with these testimonies, you know, the drugs, the drink, the womanizing, and all the various other ones we're going to come up on, you know, I'll share a lot more about my experiences, the experiences I've seen from other people, and keep glorifying God, just who He is, what He can do. So we've got a few to go yet, just before we get to salvation, you know, when you come to Jesus and stuff, you know. There's a few that I still don't do, like lies and manipulation, you know, fear, which is, for me, is like the biggest cancer or heart disease. It's just fear is such an enemy, you know, and when you get released from that, things can really change. You know, this is what God does. He just takes a person with heavy chains from the past, and He takes them off one by one, sometimes 3 at a time. You just have to wait and see. But for now, guys, listen, thank you so much, and God bless you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit notifications. As I always say, you know, I've got a Birnie Family YouTube channel where I do motorbike vlogs and Scottish castle tours and DIY. The kids are crazy, they do all this airsoft horses, all that sort of stuff. And of course, got the gaming channel as well for the kids, and the shorts channel. So there's plenty there for you, you know, and I just hope you really enjoy it. But for now, God bless.